everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Julie, and I organize webinars for the Claire Booth Luce Center for Conservative Women. I am so happy for you to join us this afternoon with our guest speaker, Abby Roth. Here at the center, our mission is to prepare women for effective leadership and to promote leading conservative women. Our materials, programs, and initiatives support ideas and efforts that are pro-America, pro-family, and support free enterprise. We encourage our supporters and students to be active ambassadors of conservative philosophy in their schools, workplaces, and communities. If you are interested in learning more about the Center for Conservative Women, I invite you to visit our website at cblwomen.org and follow us on our social media platforms. We thank you for joining us today as we host Abby Roth. Abby Roth is the creator of Classically Abby, a commentary, opera, beauty, and lifestyle brand dedicated to looking at the world from a classic perspective. With almost 90,000 subscribers to her YouTube channel, 50,000 followers on Twitter, and 30,000 followers on Instagram, Abby is the first conservative influencer. She is an accomplished opera singer with 3 degrees in operatic performance from the University of Southern California and the Manhattan School of Music. She has written for EV Magazine as well as The Federalist. You can find her website at classicallyabby.com and follow her on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest at the handle Classically Abby. In our modern culture, the very concept of being a woman is being erased from sports, clubs, Hollywood, and especially our universities. Today, Abby will talk about dressing for success as a woman, a subject that is now more key than ever before in American culture. Please join me in welcoming Abby Roth.
Thank you so much for that introduction. It is a pleasure and an honor to speak with so many young conservative women today at the Claire Booth Luce Center for Conservative Women. I want to thank Michelle Easton and Julie Stewart for organizing this event. Being a conservative woman in 2021 is not the easy thing to do, but you are all so brave for fighting for what's right. My motto is let's be classic. And although that extends in many different directions, one of the simplest is in the way you present yourself. Now, before I started Classically Abby and became a conservative influencer, I was a professional opera singer. I went to the University of Southern California to get a Bachelor of Music, then moved to New York to attend the Manhattan School of Music, where I received my Master's of Music and Professional Studies certificate. When I first entered the operatic world, I knew nothing about the culture or standards. I had only begun singing opera about a year before I auditioned, and I couldn't even read music. In contrast, many young singers grow up in the culture and know what is expected of them. So when I was first told that there were specific guidelines for how a singer was supposed to dress and bear herself for an audition, I was fascinated. It turned out that you were supposed to dress up quite a bit for an audition. Men were supposed to wear full suits. Women were supposed to wear knee-length dresses, tights, jewelry, covered cleavage, and a mid to low height heel. You were supposed to dress modestly, yet beautifully. There was actually a reason for these standards. 1, it gave respect to the art form by dressing up for it. 2, wearing too high of a heel can actually shift your body structure and prevent you from singing as well as you could. And 3, by creating a standard that everyone should follow that included modesty, it allowed those judging the audition to focus on you, your voice, and your acting, rather than what you were wearing or what body parts you chose to reveal. Actually having rules as to what we should and should not wear in the opera world taught me a wonderful lesson. Despite the fact that there were days I wished I could roll out of bed and throw on the closest pair of jeans, I realized that expecting my auditioners to respect me without putting in any effort to my appearance was unrealistic, and that dressing the part of a serious singer elevated my mentality and made my mindset more serious as well. I learned to take auditions seriously. I learned to respect the people on the other side of the table who had taken their entire day to listen to singers perform. I learned about professionalism. I learned that tending to my appearance gave me confidence when I stepped onto the stage. And I learned to respect myself and the people I was working with by presenting myself in the best way possible. The way you present yourself is so important for so many reasons. And as young conservative women, presenting yourself well goes hand in hand with the way we view the world. Dressing well and looking presentable is not vain or superficial. It's smart. You only have one chance to make a first impression. And if you know how to dress and do your hair and makeup, you have a much better chance of letting someone get to know the best version of you. So today I want to explain why presenting yourself well is part and parcel of being a conservative woman. I also want to share the basics for how to dress and groom, as well as the difference between dressing well for the office and dressing well for your casual, everyday life, or when you're going on a date. As a generally practical person myself, I absolutely love lists. So I'll break down how to actually accomplish dressing and carrying yourself like a classic woman in 2021. When I was in my last year at my all-girls Jewish high school, and in my first years of college at the University of Southern California, and dressing at my most modest, I was still not the most modest girl in my Jewish community. I was somewhere in the middle. Essentially, more observant women will wear shirts that cover their elbows and shirts that cover their collarbones, as well as skirts that come far below their knees. I followed more basic modesty rules. I covered my shoulders, but I wore short sleeves. I covered my cleavage, but not my collarbones. And I wore skirts that came to the middle of my knees, not below. I remember going to a Jewish event and being confused as to why the men I was interested in didn't seem to be interested in me. They were more interested in my other friends who did, in fact, dress more modestly than I did. Here's the interesting thing. These friends that dressed more modestly were actually less observant in other areas of their lives. Religious Judaism has laws for behavior that cover every part of life. I was keeping other laws more stringently, while they were not. But our clothing told a different story. So as you might imagine, the men that I was interested in were not expressing their interest in me because they were looking for more religiously observant women to date and marry. And I did not appear to fit the bill, while those other girls did. My mistake at the time was not being deliberate with how I presented myself and making sure that how I appeared to others was consistent with who I actually was and what I valued. I am using modesty as an example because it's something that I've dealt with personally in my life quite a bit, but this lesson goes beyond modesty and into dressing well. The way you dress will tell people quite a bit about who you are, even if it's actually not who you are at all. If you are someone who dresses in a way that is messy and slovenly, you will be telling people that you probably don't have it together, even if you do. If you dress in a way that shows off way too much, you will be telling men that you are probably more comfortable with entering into a physical relationship, even if you're not. If you dress in a way that looks cheap, you will be telling people that you probably don't know how to spend your money, even if you do. There are so many things that can be implied and inferred about who you are by the way that you dress. Is that always fair? No, and it can be frustrating to be on the wrong end of someone's misperception. But here's where being a conservative fits in with all of this. A core part of our worldview is that we accept reality for what it is and take responsibility for doing something about it. We understand that even though you may not like that you have to dress in a certain way to get a certain response, that doesn't change the facts. The way that you dress can and will affect the interactions that you have with people, and can, if you work with that reality, raise the chances of getting you what you want. Appearance matters so much, in fact, that a first impression can determine someone's judgment of you in no time at all. There are plenty of studies that show people's first impression of someone is formed in under 30 seconds. Some studies say we make those judgments in less than 1 second. The left will decry that we judge people by the way that they look, dress, and carry themselves, as if they can stop people from doing it with enough complaints. But ultimately, the importance of appearance is inevitable and a very important part of being human. Having standards is natural, normal, and useful. But as with anything, there can be bad standards. There can be standards that we should try and change. If, for example, extremely underweight women were considered the ideal figure and young women were encouraged to engage in self-harming behaviors, that's a bad standard. Beauty shouldn't be an idol that comes at the direct expense of health and other vital things in life. Instead, it should be an expression of health and good, joyous living. But the left conflates all standards with bad standards. To them, the existence of standards at all is bad, and we should get rid of them. The idea that someone is more attractive when they've put in effort into their appearance rather than when they haven't tried at all is a good standard. It encourages people to take care of themselves physically and mentally. It encourages people to respect others by bringing an elevated version of themselves to the table. Despite the importance of standards that encourage the best of people out of respect for themselves and for others, the left still rails against all standards. Let me explain their logic and why it doesn't work. If a standard exists that says something is good, that means something else is necessarily bad. And if something is bad, that means that you can't do whatever you want because it would be judged or shamed or punished. You would be denied something in some way and therefore excluded. That punishment or exclusion is what the left calls oppression. The left's whole claim is to fight oppression and liberate people from it. And to the left, anything they term oppression, not the legitimate definition of that word, but their definition, must be fought against in order to achieve full liberation. Once everyone's been liberated from oppression, the world will be just and history will be over because everyone will live happily ever after, so there will be no more stories to write. So for example, saying that it is actively better to get dressed and brush your hair before going to work every day necessarily means that it is bad to go to work in pajamas with unbrushed hair. It seems obvious, doesn't it? But to the left, the women who would be judged and denied the exact same social regard as the women who've put in effort are oppressed. Rather than accepting reality, rather than trying to respect those around them, and rather than accept a standard that is achievable and encourages better, more rewarding behavior from people, the left questions why their freedom is being encroached upon and why they are being oppressed for simply doing what they want to do. Leftists love the narrative of accepting who we are, where we are at, and not improving. They believe that you don't need to change to fit societal pressures because their entire narrative is that our current society is evil and its standards are terrible. And that's why they have a right to tear it down and start again. In their eyes, all societal pressures can do is oppress and harm people. The left says this because it wants the moral authority and mandate to take control of everything and remake it all in its own image. Just one small part of this philosophy is the attempt to say that standards for your appearance, just like standards for anything else, are created by society and oppressive. In reality, people are visual and will immediately judge you for your appearance. And that's not a bad thing. Judgment is natural and necessary. We do it all the time and for everything. Judgment is not the enemy. Bad standards are. Appearance is a quick and useful judge of character, and we are lucky to have that ability in order to try and get to know someone easily through their appearance. Is it always accurate? No. So we should be humble and always willing to learn to improve how well we do it. But it's still something that we can often depend on and ignore at our own peril. I personally feel very fortunate that we have the intuition to learn something about someone from a few feet away, as opposed to having to learn everything when you're already in the middle of a conversation. Think about the scenario where someone is wearing a leg cast. Because we make judgments and can see something and respond to it, we can know to help that person get to the elevator or help them take their seat. Of course, there are many examples of lessons we learn about others because of the way that they appear. There are wonderful opportunities and terrible risks to avoid, all often learned simply by looking at someone. Taking care of yourself, taking care of your looks, taking care to dress in a way that is flattering to your figure isn't wrong, doesn't hurt anyone, doesn't hurt you, and will actually make you feel better. That's the big dirty secret. Taking care of your appearance will actually make you happier every day. A study published in 2017 showed that women who wore makeup to a test performed better than their colleagues because they had higher self-esteem. You'll make better life choices if you feel good about yourself than if you don't. There are really no downsides to dressing the part. Another study published in 2012 showed that students who were told to wear doctor's coats performed better on their science tests, simply because of what they were wearing. We are role-playing creatures. Every day, what we wear is our uniform for who we will be and what we will do that day. To have a great day, be a strong woman, and live out your values, dress the part. And that's really what looking a certain way comes down to. You only have one chance to make a first impression, and you become what you present yourself as. You only have one chance to make a potential employer think you're the right person for the job. You only have one chance to catch a man's attention while also letting him know that he needs to respect you. You only have one chance to make a new acquaintance think that you'll actually follow through on your offer to grab coffee another day. It's clear that by presenting yourself well, you actually make it easier for someone to get to know you. For example, by dressing in a way that reflects who you are, a potential date is given a real opportunity to understand you before you even say one word. It's like music accompanying a movie or play. It's something that bolsters and reinforces what you try to communicate about yourself. If you're dressed in a slovenly way, a man will have to overcome the obstacle of wondering if you are a messy person. If you're dressed well as a reflection of yourself, though, he won't think that you're one thing and need to work to find out that you're quite another. If you're dressed in clothing that's very revealing, a man might think that you're casual about sexuality and physical intimacy, which could either veer his attentions for your relationship toward a more fleeting fling or turn him away altogether if he doesn't think you take dating seriously. By presenting yourself well and deliberately, you have already given him clues to understand who you are through the way you look. So how do you know what you want to portray through your appearance? Well, style isn't simply superficial. There's a huge difference between fashion and style. Fashion is following the trends, dressing the way others are dressing, or buying clothing because you think it should look good on you, regardless of whether or not it does. Style, though, is something that lets you express who you are and embrace your personality. And to have style, guess what? You actually have to know yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you want to portray. You have to know what you want. And these aren't small things. These are great, big, important things. And in a way, figuring out your style is an awesome way to figure out the answers to these questions. What this also means, of course, is that we don't all have to dress the exact same way. There are certain guidelines that every woman should follow, which I will explain, but you get to do it in your own unique way. For example, I have learned over time and with many trials and errors that I really enjoy the combination of navy blue and white. I am a nautical girl at heart. I like more tailored pieces, even though I'll stray now and then and wear something that is more appropriate for whatever I'm doing that day. But another woman may, for example, love bright colors and flowier clothing. Go for it. Do what reflects your personality and attracts the things you want out of life. And you'll find that as you tailor your closet, you will start to understand yourself better too. Another great example of this is a woman who loves tailored clothing and purchases it often, but finds that she rarely has an opportunity to wear her clothing. Perhaps she's a mother who is chasing after her children, or she works from home and prefers something comfortable for her day-to-day work. Guilty. Coming to terms with the reality of who you are as opposed to the dream version of yourself can be a cathartic process, and it can allow you to make peace with the person you have become, especially if it's for a positive reason, like raising a family. Letting go of some of those tailored pieces and giving them a new home so you can learn to accept who you really are is a wonderful opportunity that you can embrace. Of course, this is not to say that if you are simply being lazy and you want to embrace that you're lazy, you should throw out all of your nice clothing. This is more for the woman who has become the best version of herself, but not the exact version she had anticipated. Being a conservative woman means dressing in a way that respects your body instead of showing it off just because you want attention and fleeting validation. Being a conservative woman means dressing in a way that shows that you care about the way that you look, but beyond mere crude sexuality. And it's actually a wonderful opportunity to learn how to be and express the best version of yourself. All of this is to say that dressing well is incredibly important. And as young conservative women in 2021, we have all been disadvantaged by the media and movies we have imbibed throughout our formative years, which are brewed up by the same left that wants to tear down all standards, whether they be good or bad. The most direct way to influence young women is to put ideas into films and shows that we love. And when we do love them, we so often don't even realize the indoctrination that is happening to us. We haven't been taught how to dress appropriately. We have been told that we can dress however we want with no regard for others, and we haven't been given the rules for how to improve our lives, starting with and through our appearances. But that's where what we're doing today comes in. Today, I've got you covered. So let's start by talking about some basic tips. Before we talk about what to wear, I think it's best we start with the basics. If your outfit looks great, but you haven't taken care of the basics, then even the most expensive clothing won't make you look put together. Looking your best is holistic, and it starts from the bottom up. So let's start with the 10 foundations. Number 1, whiten your teeth. Having white teeth is so important to looking your best. If your teeth look stained, your smile, which should be something that makes you look even more beautiful, will be marred, and nobody wants that. Yellow teeth aren't a difficult fix, but they are something that require you to notice and take action. It's very difficult to talk to a friend about bodily issues, even if you're trying to help, like yellow teeth or body odor. So that's why I'm including it here. Make sure to check this for yourself. Don't rely on friends to tell you because they probably won't out of fear of offending you. If your teeth are looking a little yellow, there are a ton of healthy and safe options to make your teeth look great. I personally use a 2-step toothpaste system by Crest that has a whitening agent, and that keeps my teeth as white as I like them. I have pretty sensitive teeth, so using the Crest white strips is not the best option for me, but you can use those too, because those are much easier and very fast. Number 2. Make sure you smell lovely. Body odor is one of those things that nobody likes to talk about, but makes a huge difference to the way you present yourself. Smell in general is one of those things that can make or break a first impression. If you're someone who has issues with perspiration and body odor, don't worry. Just find a deodorant or antiperspirant that works for you. There are so many options out there that you should definitely be able to find something that works for you. I know many women use natural deodorants for health reasons, but just make sure to find something that actually works and neutralizes body odor as opposed to just layering over it. The other part of this is finding a perfume that you love and wearing just the right amount. I absolutely love perfumes. I think they are so feminine and can make someone think of you with just a whiff of your specific scent. Find something that you love and that works with your personality. You could have a signature scent, something you wear all the time, or seasonal scents, or whatever it is that you choose. I personally love the idea of a signature scent, but have found that I enjoy different scents based on different weather and times of year. And next, you want to apply a little to your wrists and on your neck or behind your ears. You definitely don't want to put on so much that people smell you from across the room. Just enough that perhaps they would smell it a bit as you walk by. Number 3, take care of your nails. Having lovely nails is so important because each time you shake hands with someone, they will see them. You want to make sure that your nails look their best so you make a great first impression. Does that mean you have to wear polish every day? Absolutely not. So let's go through the ways you can make your nails look presentable. Step 1. If you are someone who bites your nails, make sure that you break the habit. There are some wonderful bitter nail polishes you can apply that deter you from biting your nails. Try that and see if it helps. Step 2. Decide what works best for your lifestyle as far as nail care. Don't have time to do your nails once a week or twice a month? No worries. Just keep them trimmed and buy a buffer that will make them shiny. You can shine all of your nails once every couple of weeks in under 10 minutes and they will look feminine and pretty. Do you love getting manicures and enjoy changing your color up every week? Then go with normal polish. Just make sure not to let your nails chip. Do you enjoy gel polish because it's basically indestructible? Then you're like me. I actually do gel manicures at home and love it. I hate waiting for my nails to dry because I always end up ruining them anyways, and then they inevitably chip a day later, so I do my gel polish once or twice a month. But in all of these situations, just keeping your nails looking clean is the absolute most important thing. And for goodness sake, don't have nails that are so long that you can't type or touch your phone or do anything. Number 4, removing body hair. Yes, I know that saying that body hair is something that needs to be removed in 2021 is an unpopular opinion. Feminists will get on my case saying, it's natural, free the armpit hair. But here's the deal. We have normalized in our society that body hair is less than attractive. And I personally feel more beautiful when I have taken care of my body hair. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. Plus, wearing a sleeveless shirt with hairy armpits or wearing a skirt with hairy legs truly isn't a very attractive or feminine thing to do. So we all need to figure out a way to remove our body hair that works for our lifestyle. You can shave, wax, laser hair removal, epilate, whatever works for you. But make sure that if you're going to be wearing something that shows off a body part that normally would not have hair, you are groomed. It looks nicer and shows that you accept reality, that women and body hair at this point in time simply don't mix. Number 5, showering and washing hair consistently. I think this is an obvious one, but I wanted to include it for the sake of covering all of my bases. You can wear all of the deodorant and perfume in the world, but if you aren't regularly showering or bathing, it will be like hanging an air freshener in a room filled with trash. Plus, showering is a very important part of self-care, although I use that phrase slightly differently. Oftentimes, we use the phrase self-care to mean taking care of yourself in the most superficial way, letting everything build up until it's too much, and then having to basically binge your self-care through watching TV, drinking wine, and eating chocolate. I am a proponent of preemptive self-care. Make sure to constantly take care of yourself and check in so that you don't need self-care in that sense, which, to be honest, is not self-care at all. So now that I've gone on that little tangent, washing your hair on a regular basis so that it looks healthy and clean and smells good is another thing to add to your regimen. Of course, don't wash your hair too often because that strips it of its natural oils, but you do want to do it regularly rather than heavily depending on dry shampoo. Number 6, exercising. Ladies, taking care of your body is so important, and it starts with exercising regularly. I say this as someone who sometimes struggles with getting myself to get out and do so, but every time I do, I feel so much better in my skin. Exercising gets those endorphins going. It keeps you strong. It will benefit your body in the long run, and it will keep you feeling great in your clothing. Figure out what your motivation is for exercising. I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. And then remind yourself of it whenever you feel yourself resisting the urge to exercise. It's such an important foundation of presenting yourself well, to exercise and keep your body in its best condition. Number 7, eating healthfully. Yes, I know, we all struggle with this one, including me. But eating healthy just makes you feel better and honestly makes you look better. The first step to looking good in clothing is doing your best to feed your body the nutrients it needs. And the real body positivity is doing what keeps you healthy. So figure out what recipes you enjoy and those that give you the protein you need, that fuel you, and that make you feel your best. Number 8, learning how to do your hair and makeup. These two things are super important for presenting yourself well. Again, even if you have the most beautiful clothing on, if your hair is messy and unbrushed and your makeup doesn't look great, you still won't look your best. Remember, the way you present yourself is holistic. People take in all of you at once. They don't see your hair, your makeup, and your clothing separately. They take in the whole picture. So learning how to do your hair and makeup is super important. Figure out how to nourish your hair and what styles work for you. Figure out your skin type and find a foundation that really stays on your face well. I had some issues with that early on when I was learning how to do makeup. Watch some makeup and hair tutorials on YouTube, and you'll see that all of this stuff is much less intimidating than it might initially seem. But you will look your best if you take a bit of time and learn how to accentuate your femininity. Number 9, getting good fitting bras and undergarments. This is so important. I had to mention it here because it's so important. I think many women are self-conscious and don't want to get fitted for their undergarments. But honestly, it's so important. I highly recommend Nordstrom's if you have one in your area, but many stores offer fittings as a service, and it will change your life when you finally know your actual size. Wearing a bra that is the wrong size for you will make everything you wear fit incorrectly. So finding out your actual size will make all the difference. Number 10, figuring out what styles actually work for your body. Last but not least, figure out what looks good on you. So many women don't know what actually looks good on their bodies and try to follow those fashion trends I mentioned earlier. But wearing clothing that actually works with your body is the most classic thing a woman can do. And it means accepting the body you have and loving it for what it is. The hardest thing is trying to look like someone who is structurally built different than you are. Of course, nothing that looks good on that person will look good on you. But there are women who have body types just like yours that also look fantastic. There are a bunch of different articles on the internet about dressing for your body type, but one of the things I really recommend is finding a celebrity who has a similar body type to your own. Take a look at the outfits they choose that accentuate their figures and take a lesson from them. So now that we have dealt with the basics of grooming, let's move on to the different scenarios that you will be dressing for. Professional setting versus casual and dating. Dressing professionally versus dressing casually are two very different things. It's obvious that what you would wear to the office is often something that you would never wear hanging out with friends. But I think the confusion has now become that people are wearing what they would wear to hang out with friends to the office. Of course, finding out your office's dress code is important, and wearing something very dressy to a casual workplace would be its own faux pas. But many offices do require professional dressing, and in that situation, you should know what to wear to present yourself well. Often we don't get that guidance in a natural way, so I'm here to tell you how to dress in both settings. Professional office attire is meant to accomplish a few different things, but one thing primarily: showing that you are capable and good at what you do. Dressing well and appropriately shows people that they can trust you and that you have it figured out. And that inspires confidence from your boss, who trusts you can get the job done, and your clients, if you have them, who you're working for. Dressing poorly, on the other hand, whether that be through slovenliness, ill-fitting clothing, or inappropriate and immodest outfits, shows the opposite. It implies you don't take care of yourself, which would make it difficult for you to take care of your job. You don't know how to dress your body, which shows a lack of self-awareness, or you don't respect the work you're doing or the people around you, which shows a lackadaisical approach to your work. When you're dressing for your work, you want to dress in a modern yet sophisticated way. It's important to dress in a way that shows that you are keeping up with trends, but incorporating them into your wardrobe classically. Being modest and looking sophisticated isn't about looking dated or old-fashioned. It's about dressing in a way that shows that you are up to date, but you aren't a slave to fashion. A good example would be the skirt suit. Many skirt suits are a bit dated, but you can use that style and update it for now. Wearing a cool blazer, like this one, with a dress or a knee-length skirt is a perfectly modern take on the look. So why is dressing modestly for the office important? You are there to do your best work. To dress immodestly is to change the environment of the office entirely. All of a sudden, you are infusing conversations with your male colleagues with a sexual tension that should not be there. They are contending not only with your ideas, but with your body, which is a distraction. Dressing modestly at work is about learning how to respect the power of your sexuality and understanding that you don't want that kind of attention really anywhere outside of the bedroom, but especially not at work. Dressing for the office doesn't have to be stuffy either. It's honestly a great exercise in learning more about your style to work within specific guidelines. If your office requires that you dress in a certain way, figure out how to bring some personal flair to your look. If you like to dress colorfully, wear a flower print dress with a blue blazer over the top. If you like to dress monochromatically, wear an all-navy outfit. If you like to add some glitter, buy some brooches and put them on the collar of your jacket. You can absolutely make your outfits your own. You just need to work within a professional framework. Before I move on to what to wear casually, I want to leave you with some professional basics. Number 1, never wear leggings to work. This has been an issue that I have noticed in the last few years. And honestly, even in casual offices, this is never okay. Leggings are athleisure, and they are not meant for the workplace. They are too casual and too immodest, and they show that you don't care enough about your job to even put on a real pair of pants. Number 2, don't wear a super high heel to work. It's best to wear a pointy toe heel between 2 and 4 inches high. Pointy toe because it elongates your leg and is more flattering, and a mid-height heel so that you carry yourself well but can still walk comfortably. My rule for work heels is never wear a heel that is so high that A, you can't walk at a normal pace, and B, that it has a platform along the ball of the foot. But to be fair, I am almost never a fan of platform heels anyway. I do think that you can wear a colorful heel though. Number 3, modesty is the best policy. You want skirts that at the shortest come to a few inches above the knee and tops that never show cleavage. Wearing a blazer and a sweater to the office is generally a good policy. Also because offices can get super cold and you want to be warm. 4, tailoring and fit. Make sure your clothing fits you. If you're wearing a beautiful pantsuit, it will not actually look beautiful if it doesn't fit you correctly. That doesn't mean that you have to get all of your clothing tailored, although wouldn't that be a dream? But it means that when you buy clothing, don't buy it because you like the look of it on the hanger. It has to fit you and your body. When your clothing doesn't fit you, you won't look put together, even if every other aspect of your look is great. Because remember, people see you head to toe and holistically. But you can see through this discussion how dressing in these ways is actually to your advantage. You are encouraging your colleagues to focus on your capability and on the product of your work, not on the way you look. And your clothing is a reflection on how capable you are, which is a great thing. Now that we've discussed how to dress professionally, let's talk about how to dress casually and how to make the best first impression in your dating life. I think a lot of women in today's day and age get caught up in the idea of trying to attract a man's attention by showing a lot of skin. It's an easy way to have a man take an interest in you. But the fact of the matter is, it's the wrong kind of interest. If you are dressing ostentatiously to attract a man, it sends all the wrong signals and you won't end up getting the attention of the kind of man you are looking for. When a man first notices your body, he is distracted by your physical being and has a more difficult time getting to know who you are. As well, dressing immodestly sends off a signal that you are perhaps more comfortable engaging in something like a one-night stand. Essentially, it puts whatever man is interested in you in the frame of mind of physicality rather than dating. He's looking at you and is wondering if you would be interested in hooking up, rather than noticing that you are attractive as a prerequisite, but then moving on to get to know your personality. The way that you dress inherently reflects your values and your character. If you choose to wear something revealing, it will give off the impression that you are comfortable sharing your body with anyone and everyone. If, though, you respect your body enough to keep it for yourself and your future husband, recognizing that your worth as a woman has more to do with what you do than what your body looks like, men will be encouraged to respect you, too. If you dress modestly, classically, and attractively, men who share your values will be attracted to you. The kind of men you are looking for will subconsciously or consciously be attracted to you because they see someone with whom they are compatible. Now, one thing I do want to get out of the way is that men are visual. This works for and against us. This is a disadvantage if you try and show off your body and he is entirely distracted by what you look like and doesn't try to get to know you. But there is also an advantage to this. You can dress in an attractive way that makes him interested, but also lets him know that you are more than just your looks. It is incredibly important to dress well and put your best foot forward when meeting a man. I am not here to recommend that you wear a burlap sack so he doesn't look at you at all. The point is that you want a man to notice that you are attractive as the first step to getting to know you, not the entire activity of getting to know you. So when you're dressing for dating, you want to accentuate the best parts of you without revealing everything and sending off the wrong messages to men. That means you can wear things that are less restrictive than what you would wear in the office. You can express your style more in casual life. You can do your makeup with a little more flair. Finding the kind of clothing that makes you feel confident, makes you look attractive, but also gives men the impression you want them to have is so important. And you will find that once you figure out how to accentuate without displaying, you will feel better about yourself than you ever did. Because you don't have to show off your body to know that you are confident. You just need to feel your best. Who would have thought that taking care of your body, dressing well, and presenting yourself beautifully would be considered controversial in 2021? I have constantly been surprised by how many people take offense to the idea that women should take care of their bodies, should dress well, should do anything. But there are things everyone should do. And recognizing that simply lying in a heap on your sofa is unacceptable should not be breaking news. As conservative women, you have the benefit of knowing how to be happy. Presenting yourself beautifully, exercising, eating well, all of these things are proven to give you a better chance of being happy. Even though the left will say that being told to do anything is the first step in unhappiness, we as conservatives know that no one is telling us to do anything. What we're doing is recognizing reality and what it takes to build happiness for yourself. You all have a leg up on your woke friends. You get to use presentation to your advantage. You get to make the best first impression in your work life and personal life, and in doing so, get the things you really want. Instead of yelling at the world and society for quote unquote working against you, you can look at reality and say, I know how to make this system work for me. And it's not as if the system is broken. It's just reality. It's up to us to make the most of it. People are visual. The thing is, at the end of the day, you can make taking care of your appearance fun. I absolutely love the process of getting dressed and ready for an evening out, or even just for work. I like picking out clothing, doing my hair, doing my makeup, and picking out a fun pair of shoes at the last minute. These are beautiful parts of being a woman, and they allow us to embrace our femininity. Honestly, they can bring you so much joy. In this way, women are natural artists, and we can and should treat ourselves as art. But unfortunately, feminism and wokeists have turned this nice thing that we can do to enjoy our womanhood into something that has been imposed on us by the patriarchy. Reality rejects that. And as someone who loves making a good first impression and who thinks of taking care of my appearance as one of the most fun parts of self-care, I reject that. I think you should too. Being a woman is a unique privilege, and we honor it by embracing it to its fullest with joy and grace. Let's take advantage of it.